the Qinghai Tibet Plateau. It's known as the roof of the world. From the Tibetan New Year to the Encore Festival, to the ceremony of the unfolding of the largest painting of the Buddha in the world, culture in this unique place is rich and colorful. Since Tibetan Buddhism was first born here, it's been passed down the generations, till today. For believers in Tibetan Buddhism, religious ceremonies are an important part of life. Tibetan Buddhists believe that some religious leaders of a school are the reincarnations of their previous lives. Inheriting the spirits and wisdom of his previous life, the leader will continue to guide the school and believers. Religious leader chosen in this unique way is called Tulku, or Rinpoche, as honorific title in Tibetan language, is also known as Living Buddha. In this documentary, we enter this mysterious Pure Land and explore the story behind the reincarnation of the living Buddhas in Tibetan Buddhism. In China, there are currently more than 3,800 Tibetan Buddhist monasteries, over 150,000 Tibetan Buddhist monks and nuns, and over 1,300 living Buddhas. The major schools of Tibetan Buddhism are Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, and Gelug. They are mainly distributed in Tibet and some areas in Qinghai, Gansu, Sichuan, and Yunnan. Jokhang Temple is located in the heart of Lhasa, Tibet Autonomous Region. The statue of Sakumuni, aged 12, brought by Princess Wencheng of the Tang Dynasty from Chang'an, is enshrined here. It is now widely believed that Buddhism was introduced to Tibet in the 7th century. For more than 1,300 years since that time, Tibetan Buddhism has continued to grow and develop, with influences from other areas of China and India and Nepal. Buddhists around the world believe in reincarnation, the endless cycle of life and death. However, only Tibetan Buddhism has this reincarnation system for the living Buddhas, known as Rinpoche in Tibetan.
活佛转世呢，是这个藏传佛教独有的一种就宗教首领的这种传承方式。我们纵观世界，任何宗教都没有这样的一个传承方式。
This is a living Buddha. His name is Pa Wo. A living Buddha is considered to be the reincarnation of a late Lama who was once the leader or founder of a major school of Tibetan Buddhism. The living Buddha not only inherits the previous Lama's status, but also his spiritual wisdom and knowledge. Pa Wo is one of the important religious leaders of the Karma Kagyu school today. He was recognized as the reincarnated spiritual successor at the age of 9.
第一个活佛呢，是由噶玛噶举派这一派开始产生的。
Now he is presiding over the New Year's blessings at Nunung Monastery.
能够去利益到大家。如果把他的转世找出来，或者说是认出来的话，确实能够切实的帮助到整个藏传佛教，或者是帮助到更多的需要佛法智慧的众生。那么出于这样的考量，我们去把他的转世或者把他的来世呈现出来，找出来，让更多的人去看到他，认识他，从而也给予他一些力量去做更大的事情。活佛就扮演了这样的一个佛法的智慧跟普通信众之间的媒介的这样的一个角色。所以借由这个活佛或者仁波切的努力把这些佛法的智慧呢就简便直接的传达给信众。
The Living Buddha's reincarnation system, started by the Serpu monastery during the 13th century, has gradually spread to other Tibetan Buddhist schools till today.
活佛转世出现在公元的13世纪后半叶，它有宗教因素，也有社会政治因素。
实际上，它跟维系这个一个教派或者一个寺庙的这个政治经济或者这个教务方面、这个权威方面就首领的这个怎么选拔，就这个呢是有密切的关系的。
The end of the 13th century was a period of political turmoil. Karma Pakshi, the leader of the Karma Kagyu school, was very concerned about what would happen to his monastery and school after his death.
他圆寂之前呢，他给他的弟子乌坚巴沙讲就说他将来会转世的，就说应该会转在什么地方，你去找我的这个转世灵童来。这样呢，这个乌坚巴呢也是这个四处寻找，那么最终呢找到了这个让琼多吉，那么5岁时候呢正式承认为噶玛巴西的这个转世了，那是公元1288年。实际上这就是藏传佛教的第一个活佛的这个出现。
正是由于元宪宗蒙哥赐给了这个噶玛巴西一顶金边黑色僧帽，那么这个转世系统呢就叫噶玛噶举黑帽系。黑色的法帽呢也成为这个系统传世的象征和重要的标志。1333年的时候呢，元顺帝封让琼多吉圆通佛法性空噶玛巴，那么在第2年呢又封他为小无一切空性噶玛佛。那么通过这2个册封呢，使活佛转世从民间自发性质，它就有了一个法理意义，才有了合法性，才真正形成一种制度。那么通过这种中央政府的册封呢，也使噶玛巴这个名号呢得以使用和传承下来。
Rangjung Dorje became the third Karmapa. He was of great importance in the Living Buddha's reincarnation system. He was closely connected to the secular authorities, and this led to the further improvement of the reincarnation system. All along, Tibetan Buddhist monasteries and religious leaders have been deeply involved in politics as well as religious affairs. They once competed with nobles and lords for control of the local economy. So they actively sought the support of regional and imperial powers. This seal was given to the 5th Karmapa by the Yongle Emperor in the early 15th century. The seal is engraved with the name Emperor Yongle gave him, Great Treasure Dharma Raja. If the Kagyu school created the Living Buddha's reincarnation system, then the Gulug school brought the system to its peak. The Gulug school is one of the most influential schools in Tibetan Buddhism today. Ganden Monastery is the birthplace of the Gulug school located on the south bank of the Lhasa River. It will soon be Galdan Namchot, a time of remembrance for Tsongkhapa, the founder of the Gulug school. Tsongkhapa was a learned thinker and Buddhist theorist in the 14th century. The Gulug school was created by Tsongkhapa in 1409. Tsongkhapa was highly respected and famous during his lifetime. His disciple Shakya Yeshe was met by the Yongle Emperor of the Ming Dynasty in Nanjing, and he was given many gifts.
지롱식하고 서치하다니 잠재주의를 때나 공연의 작다 수십 표지 즉 잠재주의 지롱식이 앞에 간데스 나스 독스토.
These tankas were made by the finest imperial craftsmen in both Han and Tibetan elements. Their quality and vibrant colors still shine today. These tankas are exhibited in Ganden Monastery once a year. Many believers have made a special trip to worship them. In the early days after the death of Tsongkhapa in 1419, school leaders were chosen based on the inheritance from master to disciple, or Dharma succession. Later, the Living Buddha's reincarnation system was gradually adopted, and multiple Living Buddha lineages evolved. Among these reincarnations, the most famous are the Dalai Lama and the Panchen Erdeni.
达赖喇嘛和班禅额尔德尼系统是藏传佛教里头最大的这个活佛世系了。
In 1542, the master of Drepung Monastery, Gundun Gyatso, died. In the year of 1547, 4-year-old Sonam Gyatso was confirmed as living Buddha, which was known as Drepung Monastery's Tulku. In 1578, Sonam Gyatso established a relationship with Altan Khan, Shunyi king of Ming Dynasty. Altan Khan met Sonam Gyatso at Qinghai Lake and gave him the title All-Knowing Saint Vajradhara Dalai Lama. Sonam Gyatso had a close relationship with the central government. The Wanli Emperor of Ming Dynasty once granted him the title and seal of Dorje Chang. Dorje Chang, like Vajradhara, means the person who reached the highest achievement in Tibetan Buddhism. Sonam Gyatso is considered to be the third Dalai Lama. Gedun Drupa, a disciple of Tsongkhapa, is revered as the first Dalai Lama. Gundun Gyatso was regarded as the second Dalai Lama.
1653年的时候呢，顺治皇帝呢又封五世达赖喇嘛为西天大善自在佛，所领天下施教，普通话彻了达赖喇嘛。达赖呢是蒙古语大海的意思，喇嘛是藏语上师的意思。这也是达赖喇嘛呢首次呢被中央政府册封。那么从此呢，这个名号也被固定下来，形成了历世达赖喇嘛都要经中央政府册封的这么一个历史定制。
The Panchen Rinpoche, also known as Panchen Erdeni, together with the Dalai Lama, is a reincarnated leader of the Gelug school of Tibetan Buddhism. Panchen Bodha, meaning great, wise, and courageous scholar, is a title bestowed by the Mongolian tribal leader Gu Shi Khan in the mid-17th century.
1713年，康熙皇帝呢派钦差到扎什伦布寺呢，封50班禅洛桑乙期为班禅额尔德尼。这个班禅呢也是大学者的意思，额尔德尼是满语珍宝的意思。那么这个封号呢从此被固定下来，成为这个班禅转世系统的专有名称。
这两个活佛世系之间的这关系呢是非常紧密的。比如说，在这个达赖喇嘛的这个认定这方面呢，历代班禅发挥了非常重要的作用。从5世达赖到14世，除了1世达赖以外呢，这个历代班禅都参与了他转世的寻访啊、认定啊，包括取法名啊、剃度啊、传授这个经典啊这样的一些任务。
Tibetan Buddhists believe that the soul of the late Lama can be reincarnated in a spiritual successor. But how are the reincarnated living Buddhas found and confirmed?
活佛转世呢，就从寻访一直到最后做成呢，要经过3个环节，一个是寻访过程，第2个是这个认定过程，第3个是坐床，最终的这个确认了。
The Chogyal living Buddha lineage can be traced back to a Lama with profound Dharma at the Drepung Monastery. The current Chogyal Living Buddha is the 9th generation. He often studies scriptures in Drepung Monastery with his tutor, and he is curious about how he was found. To search for living Buddhas of Gelug school like the Chogyal, Lamu Latso Lake in southern Tibet plays a vital role in finding the spiritual successor. Lamu Latso Lake lies in the high mountains at an altitude of 5,000 meters. Jagged mountain peaks covered with snow surround the lake. It's considered among the most sacred lakes in Tibet.
第20达赖喇嘛时候呢，就是开始就是有这样的一些圣湖仙音啊这样的一些记载了。
Since 1509, Lamu Latso is very crucial in the search for the Gelug school's living Buddhas. At that time, the second Dalai Lama came to the lake. He looked down from above. The shape of the lake was like a human skull. Light and shadow flickered and shone on the lake like a mirror. Sounds echoed round the mountains. He was convinced that this was not only a very special place, it was also the religious venue of Palden Lamo, also known as the Glorious Goddess and the Guardian Goddess of the Dalai Lama. Since then, Lamu Latso Lake has become a pilgrimage site. People believe that monks searching for the reincarnation of living Buddha can see visions in the lake which will guide their search. Observing Lamu Latso is one of important procedures in searching for reincarnated living Buddhas.
寻访过程当中还有一个重要的环节呢，就是辨认这个遗物，就是把前世这个活佛用过的一些这个法器啊，一些用品呢，就让这个新的这个候选灵童来辨认。但当然这是一个宗教方面的一些记载了。大活佛没有辨认成功的也有，比如说第50达赖喇嘛，无论在达赖时期里头，还是在整体的整个活佛时期里头，50达赖非常有影响。但他自己在传记里头也说过，就是说让他这个辨认这个前世40达赖用过的一些东西时候呢，他自己也没有辨认出来。所以呢，辨认遗物呢也是一个方面，它不是说是绝对的这个权威。
The monks would search for the right boy, which could take several years. They might also have to travel across the entire Qinghai Tibet plateau.
这之前呢，我们叫灵童候选的这个寻访过程。那么这些寻访到了以后呢，进行这个认定程序了。
For over 700 years, the living Buddha's reincarnation system has evolved and improved. In Banbar County in the east of Tibet, the 8th Gyatso living Buddha, who is skilled in Tibetan medicine, often volunteers to treat believers. The seventh Gyatso Living Buddha used to be the 14th Dalai Lama's tutor. Sometimes believers also ask the Gyatso Living Buddha about reincarnation of spiritual successors. In order to better understand the identification process of the reincarnation of the living Buddhas, we must look back to the 18th century. At that time, China was in the Qing dynasty. The central government, which was based in the forbidden city of Beijing, sent ministers to Tibet. The ministers were directly under the command of the emperor and acted in accordance with the orders of central government. The minister managed Tibet's affairs in conjunction with the Dalai Lama and Panchen Erdeni. But the central government was deeply worried about the living Buddha reincarnation system being manipulated. During the period of Qianlong Emperor in the Qing dynasty, the reincarnation of living Buddhas was once in chaos. Feudal lords interfered the reincarnation affairs. Sometimes Mongolian and Tibetan nobles bought over living Buddhas or guardians of Buddhism in order to authorize their descendants as the successor. Many living Buddhas often came from the same noble family. Many local political powers fought to control the reincarnation of living Buddhas. This caused the reincarnation system to become politicized and become a tool of different powers. In 1780, the 6th Panchen Erdeni went to congratulate the Qianlong Emperor on his 70th birthday in Beijing and died of smallpox. His two brothers fought over his legacy and fierce clashes broke out. The elder brother, Shamarpa, the 10th living Buddhas of the Red Hat lineage, even invited the Gurkha army to invade, which led to a war and upheaval in Tibet. Finally, the Qianlong Emperor sent troops to repel the Gurkhas and restore peace and stability. This was an important turning point for the living Buddha reincarnation system. The system needed more effective management and regulation. So, in order to improve the governance of Tibet, in 1793, the emperor promulgated the 29-article ordinance for the more effective governing of Tibet, which clearly stipulated the system of drawing lots from the golden urn.
Tenereva, da tenki chisor, tana yungzi, da kotik chiali zong, sama teneta, ngaraso, shakpar teneta, heto keto yenshig, da di nang ke cheku teta, Dalai Lama ta pension la sobe, turku tegi teni, yansi ngodi chive kapsana, da ngevar de serbum tungdong chi gubali, and rangar ge ngodi chi mechobe.
这个金瓶非常有意思，是乾隆皇帝亲自设计的，包括它的格式、形状，甚至包括上面的一些图案、花纹，都由乾隆皇帝亲自主导设计的。
The Qianlong Emperor designed 2 golden urns by himself. One was placed in Lama Temple of Beijing for the golden urn lot drawing of living Buddha reincarnation for Mongolian tribes, Gansu, Qinghai, and Hutuktus based in Beijing. And another was placed in Lhasa for the selection of reincarnated living Buddhas in Tibet.
속보 먼저 사회 노연 조가 동안 디 먼저 구도도 빈다 구도도 에드니 코나 이게 근데 슬픈 주제 문제 쉬셔서 근데 진짜리 디 통마들이셔다 근데 진짜리 슬픈 주제 문제 쉬 통마들이셔 장게 군딩가 봐 두바 데레 슬픈 주제 문제 쉬브리스 디는 시간도 제 공부기 먼저 아자 림부치 군디 니솜시비게 문제 쉬 먼저 디 슬픈 주제 문제 쉬어 디는 시간도 낭속이야 지 단단한 주차장도 공부디 배가 공부 먼저 단다 동가 주고디 단 디능 시기 민주 주고 군지 듬버들이 먼저 간데 진짜링기 슬픈 주제 영성 문제 쉬교레샤스.
The ritual of drawing lots from the golden urn originates from the divine judgments custom in Tibetan Buddhism. The selection of the fifth Dalai Lama used the traditional way of drawing sampa balls.
把这个候选灵童的这个名字啊，就写在大小都一样的一些纸签上头，然后呢，用糌粑呀做成这个重量啊、大小都完全一样的几个糌粑丸子，然后把这个名签呢包在这个糌粑里头，也是需要宗教方面这个仪轨啊，就是念经啊、祈祷啊这样的一些程序完了以后呢，又有一个高僧大德进行这个摇丸子，最后呢就是说哪个跳出来，就是确定是转世灵童。 金瓶撤迁的这个办法被颁布以后呢，当时这个西藏的这个高层啊，就包括巴士达赖喇嘛呀在内，都表示拥护，也表示这个贯彻。1793年呀，有一个非常重要的一个文献呢，就叫《水牛年文告》。那么这里头呢，巴士达赖啊，对这个金瓶撤迁怎么贯彻、怎么执行，他做了一个非常详细的这个规定了。那么这里头也讲到了，就是说这个金瓶撤迁啊，是皇帝是对。 对西藏人民，对这个藏传佛教，尤其是对黄教，就是格鲁派的一个恩德。
The Potala Palace stands on Mabri Mountain in the northwest of Lhasa. It is a magnificent landmark on the Qinghai Tibetan Plateau. In January 1822, a grand golden urn lot drawing ceremony was held at Sasong Langje Palace in the Potala Palace to determine the spiritual successor to the 9th Dalai Lama.
在认定这个9世达赖喇嘛的这个转世的过程当中啊，也是通过这个宗教仪轨啊这样一些方式呢，寻访出了这个3位候选灵童。西藏地方政府啊。 给这个皇帝上报，就说申请进行这个金瓶撤迁，得到批准以后呢，是在布达拉宫举行了这个金瓶撤迁仪式。
At sunrise on the 15th day of the first month of the Tibetan calendar, the monks began reciting scriptures. The 2 Tibet station ministers, the 7th Panchen Rinpoche Palden Tenpai Nyima, and religious and secular officials took their seats in front of the Qianlong Emperor's portrait at the Sasong Langje Palace.
当时呢，驻藏大臣是文干，由他来进行这个撤迁的程序。撤完了以后呢，需要上报中央，那么中央呢，正式这个批准认定他是这个第10世达赖喇嘛。
The emperor's edict to approve the golden urn lot drawing result arrived in Lhasa in mid-July. On August 8th, the reincarnated spiritual successor knelt down in the Potala Palace facing the direction of the emperor in the east to express gratitude. After being tonsured and dressed in monk's clothes by the 7th Panchen Rinpoche, he was enthroned as the 10th Dalai Lama.
当时中东，别想想呢，前几年这个呢，俺那是等于老九的呢，这个呢，俺那是吧，每年呢，让给不注意吧，你呢，等于没法子是吧，过公买给，他俺那说个等于前几，我的是有出路个前几，说话用到的长对吧， 순배가 개체교도 가르쳤다. 되니 중앙스 용기 출시这个的。
十世达赖喇嘛经过金瓶撤签认定以后呢，他也给皇帝写了一个这个奏折，实际上就是一封感谢信，他称呼的叫文殊皇帝，就把这个皇帝呢比喻成文殊菩萨了。这是一种就说他对这个皇帝的一种感恩之情。
但是讲的呢，乾隆呢家兴把都他这拿了那辈子那么送去，说的这四轮旅行，都有个这。那么通过做吧，这里那到光个告诉他都现在他那么全部毛过去，这中国人是别想讲呢，达赖喇嘛那他工程就把就中医，那是中东中国人是，变成人保险那他变成工程结巴的过吧，是中东中国人是，他等结了后面告诉那这里。
Through its hundreds of years of evolution, the system of drawing lots from the golden urn remains one of the important religious rituals and historical customs within the living Buddha reincarnation system of Tibetan Buddhism.
从1793年一直到民国这一段时间呢，西藏历史上呢，一共有39个活佛转世系统呢，被认定为呼特图级以上的大活佛，共有91位新转世的活佛。其中呢，76位是经过金瓶撤签认定的，另外15位呢是经过中央政府特批免于金瓶撤签认定的。
In history, there were some great living Buddhas who have been exempted from drawing lots after special approvals from the central government. For example, Lungtok Gyatso, the 9th Dalai Lama, who passed away at the age of 11, received approval to forgo the lot drawing ritual.
13世、14世达赖都没有进行过金瓶撤签，但是没有金瓶撤签呢，它是实际上也是中央批准的。
In 1936, the national government promulgated Measures on the Reincarnation of Lamas, which was dedicated legislation for the administration of Tibetan Buddhism's living Buddha's reincarnation. According to the regulation, the central government approved and recognized the living Buddhas such as the 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, and the 10th Panchen Erdeni. In 1940, the representative of the nationalist government, Wu Zhongxin, arrived in Lhasa. As the Tibetan monks and laymen recognized Lamo Tondu as the reincarnation of the 13th Dalai Lama, Regent Röting Rinpoche requested the central government to approve the exemption from the golden urn lot drawing. After Wu inspected the spiritual successor, the central government approved the succession of the 14th Dalai Lama and exempted him from golden urn lot drawing. In April, under the leadership of Wu Zhongxin, the enthronement ceremony of the 14th Dalai Lama was held in Potala Palace.
大活佛要金瓶撤签，但是有特殊的情况，也不能说是那个地方自己来决断，他必须要上报到中央，就说中央政府来免于这个撤签。
In September 1954, the 14th Dalai Lama and the 10th Panchen Rinpoche went to Beijing and attended the NPC and the CPPCC there. Upon their return to Lhasa, the 14th Dalai Lama and 10th Panchen Rinpoche each wrote a letter to Chairman Mao Zedong with compliment and offered a tanka as gift. Since the founding of PRC, the 11th Panchen Rinpoche and the 6th Dedrug Living Buddha both have been chosen by the drawing of lots from the urn in front of the statue of Gautama Buddha in Jokhang Monastery. On January 28, 1989, the 10th Panchen Rinpoche suffered a heart attack due to overwork. The Panchen Rinpoche died in his new palace, Dechen Kelsong Potrang, in Shigatse, at the age of 51. 4 days before his death, he said to those disciples around him, "I think to use the golden urn lot drawing method before Sakumuni is the best way to select my reincarnation.
다디 인도 잠바 중앙 예선슈 안 중앙게 제동지 로타게 나오게베 세부 주군이나 아니 영시 대주체하게 속중 주야 가다나버리 다디 대주는 안주 루규기 안주 출루기 안주 표준낭대 출루 영시 문진기 즉 안주 대문기 가르 수준다 디능시 가르 루규기 댐비시 손제 영시 문지 지고 가다나버리 아 영시 문지 지야가 대주 속중 수도나제 속중디 조 가르 변주군지 주베 용지 자야 주고다 디능시 저시 lumbu 캠보다 디능시 저시 lumbu 직 두고 치대 가다 디능시 안조 저시 lumbu 직 안조 공배 기시 직 연대 차와까지 디게 속중 직주브레스 안디나로 한도레 안조 개난기 직 사제 현도 유배 표준 낭den기 두고 치대 가는데 딘데 냠도 루루 제배 안조 징시 대주 속중디 수남레스.
After more than a year of searching, a total of 28 possible spiritual successors were found in 46 counties on the Qinghai Tibet Plateau. Repeated comparisons whittled the short list down to 3.
把3个的父母、籍贯、本人的名字写在名签上，经过一定的仪式，把它放入金瓶，然后念金瓶经，祈祷灵通转世。祈祷完了后，抽出来，当众向大家宣布，中签的是哪一位灵通，他的相关信息，这样才能完成这个抽签这个仪式。
还得需要把这个抽签的这个结果呢，报送到这个中央去。
On November 29, 1995, a golden urn lot drawing ceremony in line with religious rituals and respecting historical customs was solemnly held in front of the statue of Sakumuni at Jokhang Temple in Lhasa. The ceremony was hosted by State Councillor Luo Gan, Chairman Gyatso Norbu of the Tibet Autonomous Region Government, and Ye Xiaowen, head of the State Council National Religious Affairs Bureau. First, the staff asked the representative and special commissioner from the State Council, the monks and living Buddhas, and relatives of the 3 candidates to check the names on the lots. Next, the State Council's special commissioner sealed off the names. The sealed names were placed in the golden urn by monk Shering of Tashalahunpo Monastery. The acting Ganden Tripabomi Rinpoche undertook the sacred responsibility of drawing the lot. The lots drawn were examined by the representative and special commissioner from the State Council first. Gyatso Norbu from Lari County was selected as the reincarnated spiritual successor. The result of the golden urn lot drawing was finally approved by the State Council, and he was confirmed as the 11th Panchen Erdeni Koigi Gyaibo. On December 8, 1995, the enthronement ceremony of the 11th Panchen Erdeni was held in Tashalhunpo Monastery. Li Tiaying, member of Political Bureau of CPCCC and State Councilor, made the announcement and bestowed the golden file and seal to the 11th Panchen Erdeni. The methods for managing the reincarnation of living Buddhas in Tibetan Buddhism was enacted in 2007. It lays out the principles that must be abided, the standards of the lineages that can be recognized as living Buddhas, and the reporting and approval process that the living Buddha reincarnation must follow. It guarantees that the reincarnation of living Buddhas is carried out smoothly in Tibet, Sichuan, Yunnan, Gansu, Qinghai, and other areas. The methods respect religious rituals and historical customs and fulfill the wishes of believers.
活佛转世管理办法，它是适应当代需要，适应信众需要，适应藏传佛教自身发展的需要， 制定的，得到了各个方面的拥护，也从一定意义上阻拦了一些活佛的转世的方面的一些乱象。它对藏传佛教的正常的发展是有积极作用的，对信众甚至对活佛本人也是有积极作用的。
The sixth Dedruk living Buddha, who studied with the Chogyal in the Young Living Buddha class at the Tibetan Buddhism Institute, is the continuation of a prominent lineage in the Gelug school. The second Dedruk living Buddha was appointed by the Qing dynasty government as regent to assist the 12th Dalai Lama in religious and administrative affairs. In recognition of his merits, the central government recognized and approved the inheritance as living Buddha reincarnation. According to historical conventions, important living Buddha lineages such as the Dalai Lama, Panchen Rinpoche, and Dedruk living Buddha, the reincarnated spiritual successor must be selected through the Golden Urn lot drawing system. In July 2010, many government representatives, living Buddhas, and eminent monks gathered at Jokhang Temple. This is the first time the Golden Urn lot drawing ceremony has been held since the promulgation of the methods for managing the reincarnation of living Buddhas in Tibetan Buddhism. The 11th Panchen Erdeni Koigi Gyaibo will draw out the name of who will become the 6th Dedruk living Buddha from the golden urn that has been used for over 2 centuries. The 11th Panchen Erdeni Koigi Gyaibo prostrated himself before the Sakumuni Buddha statue and the golden urn. Then he walked to the golden urn, removed its cap, mixed the lots by hand, and drew a lot out of the urn. The staff immediately submitted the lot to the Special Commissioner of the Tibet Autonomous Region Government. Lobsang Dorje from Longzi County, Shannan District, was confirmed as the reincarnated spiritual successor. The Panchen Rinpoche tonsured him, ordained him, and granted him a dharmic name. Like his previous incarnation, he was searched and confirmed according to historical customs and became the 6th Dedruk living Buddha.
从大范围来讲的话呢，现当下的整个活佛转世的这些事项都是按照有关规定政策、国家法规去有序的去发展的，有序的去开展的。从现在的角度来讲的话呢，从各个方面都算是保障了。一来的话呢是活佛本身的权益，二来的话呢，寺院的信众的这些要求、这些呼声都非常好的去照顾到了。
Spring comes to the roof of the world again. As the breeze sweeps across the plateau, Tibet prepares for the new agricultural year. At this time, the 11th Pawo living Buddha entered the practice center of Tibetan Buddhism in the mountain behind Nanong Monastery and began his practice in seclusion for several months, hoping to gain sacred growth in Dharma. In addition to expounding the sutras and administrative affairs, the 8th Gyatso Ling living Buddha also gives medical care to believers. The 9th Chogyal living Buddha and the 6th Dedruk living Buddha have completed the primary school study. They continue to study Dharma and enjoy growing up with their living Buddha classmates. The 11th Panchen Rinpoche has already mastered Tibetan Buddhism practice and is well versed in Dharma. For hundreds of years, the tradition has endured, just as the mountains and lakes. Through the worship of believers, the Dharma of Tibetan Buddhism is passed on from generation to generation on this holy Qinghai Tibetan plateau.